Children, we have seen till the principles of scalar chain. Now, this diagram will explain you the scalar chain principle more easily. What was that principle of scalar chain? That the communication flows from the top level authority, top level management, through the middle level management till the bottom level management. That means the flow of communication is from A to B, B to C, C to D. From, we have seen, like it is from the chief general manager, you can say, or chief executive officer, to the manager, to the supervisor, to the employees level, or it might be vice versa, from bottom level management to the top level management. So if you can see the first diagram, first triangle, scalar chain, from E to F, F to G, G to A also the communication can flow. This type of communication is called as scalar chain. But we have seen this communication is time consuming communication. So whenever there is emergency, whenever there is a need to communicate immediately, the second triangle what it is showing, this kind of communication can be followed, which is known as gangplank. That means what? See, I have shown, like C also can communicate to the F, whatever the message is there, whatever the decision is taken, he can convey to F. D also can convey to E. That means on the same level, everybody can communicate to each other. But though it is saving your time, the permission of the boss is required. This is to be noted. In gangplank, the permission of the superior should be there. So this was the principle of scalar chain. We'll turn to the next principle of Henry Fayol. This is the 10th principle, principle of order. As it says, the material should be, the human resources should be in order. So what this principle talks, let us see. This principle is based on a place for everything and everything in its place. So everything, each and every material, whatever you are going to use for production, the human resources, the employees, the staff, the skilled persons, what you are going to use, should be placed at right time to the right place. So I have underlined the wording, the statement, that is a place for everything and everything in its place. The second point in this I have put, like human resources, the manpower what we are saying, and the materials should be in the right place at the right time. So please note this, right place and right time. For what? For the proper utilization of all this physical material and the human resources to achieve the maximum efficiency. I mean getting maximum output out of less efforts. There must be proper arrangement of material. It must have right place. Similarly, the human resources should be also placed at right place and on the right job. Those who are expertise, they should be placed at the place where they can work with proper interest, with the expertise. Okay, so this principle talks about the order of the material and the order of the human resources. Let us turn to the next principle, that is principle of equity. The management should be fair and friendly to the subordinates. To the subordinates, those are the juniors, you can say, or the assistants. So the management should be fair enough. They should be having cordial relations with the subordinates. While dividing the work, distributing the work, delegating the authorities, deciding the monetary terms, that is the remuneration or whatever it may be, there should not be any discrimination between these employees. Means what? See, a person working on a particular level, or suppose a group of persons working on a particular level, they might be in different departments, but their remuneration should be same depending upon their skills, depending upon their tenure, whatever they have worked with the organization or the experiences they are having. So they should be at the same level. See the second point, what it talks about, the remuneration should not depend on the department in which they are working, but at the level on which these subordinates, the juniors, they are working. The employees working on the same level, but though in different departments, they should be paid same wages, same salary. Okay, this is what this equity will help definitely in avoiding the conflicts the satisfaction level of these workers will be high. There will not be any conflicts among their minds, and they will be giving you out of 100. That is, the efficiency level will be full. So this was the principle of equity. Let us turn to the next principles of Henry Fayol. That is the principle of stability of tenure. Stability, that is to remain in the job security. Okay. So at the time of recruitment of employees, the management should assure them stability of the tenure or the job security. There should not be any insecurity in the minds of the new employees that how many days I am going to work over here, or will I get terminated after a year or two. So this job security does work as the belongingness about the organization amongst the employees. See, the second point talks about it plays a very important role. The stability in their mind definitely plays important role in creating sense of belongingness. Belongingness, that is the ownership, thinking like this organization is mine and I am working for my own organization. That belongingness among the employees should be there. Okay. Insecurity in the job always affect the efficiency of the employees. So this principle of stability of tenure is very, very important. I mean, the duration the employees are going to work, that stability they should have in their mind, and management also should assure them that stability of the tenure or the job security. Okay. Now the next principle is the principle of initiative. Now what is initiative? It is going ahead with your own things, showing the creativity, you can say, being innovative, okay, or doing the work by your own, that is called as initiative. So this principle of initiative talks about, it refers to the taking of first step to do the work in an innovative, creative way by using your own ideas, new ideas, the freedom to think and work on new ideas. It encourages the employees to take the initiative while doing a task. Suppose you are doing a work, so you may suggest the managers or your immediate boss, if we do the work in this way, definitely it is going to help. Or first of all, you take initiative, you do that work in a particular way and show it to the others, and definitely it is going to help you progress. So that freedom to think and work on new ideas should be given to the employees. This is the principle of initiative it talks about. This initiative should be welcomed by the manager. See, just now I told you, managers should provide help, or they should appreciate the efforts taken by the employees, and they should go ahead with the new ideas the employees have suggested. So the manager, including thorough discussion on those new ideas, he should welcome these initiatives by the employees. It also helps in creating healthy organizational culture. That means, whatever your post is, we can say that he is the perfect person. So anybody who is working on the lower level management also can suggest you a very nice thing, which will show in future the fruits are coming to your organization, or your organization is doing progress due to the decision, new innovative idea what you have given. So this principle of initiative talks about welcoming the new ideas of the employees. The last but not least, the 14th principle of Henry Fayol, that is principle of esprit de corps. Esprit de corps, this is French word. It talks about the union is the strength, okay, or the unity is the strength. It talks about the teamwork. Let me tell you one example before going ahead. Students, you do play football, you do play cricket. As a team you play, you do not play as individual. If you try to play as individual, definitely it might not be helping the team. So in that, if any team is winning, that team is winning due to the teamwork exists in that particular team. So let us see what is this principle of esprit de corps. The Henry Fayol, he talks about, he has given the emphasis on the teamwork. This esprit de corps, its meaning is union is strength. You work together and it gives you strength. It is going to give you good results. So let us see what is it. Running any organization is a group activity, and human resources are the valuable assets of the organization. Both things are important. First of all, any organization is working, that means group of people are working. All together they are working towards particular goal of that organization. And definitely the organization also thinks about like the human resources whichever they are having, they are their valuable assets. They appreciate the efforts taken by these human beings. The manager should create the spirit of teamwork and understanding among these employees to achieve the organizational goal easily. So this is what the principle of the esprit de corps is there. Principle of teamwork, you can say. Now, these 14 principles of Henry Fayol, these are very logical, therefore they are applicable in the modern management era. Today's world, we are going to follow these principles and definitely you are going to get the success, achieving the goals whatever you have established about your organization. These are also supportive to the functions of management. What are those functions of management? We are going to learn in the coming chapter. So, up till now we have seen Henry Fayol's principle of management. Those 14 principles we have learned. This is a very important topic. Let me tell you students, like in the final exam, there might be question based on this. Up till now, most of the time, I mean every year this question is asked, whether it was in short note or whether it was in long answer question, like write principles of management by Henry Fayol or discuss any 5 principles of management of Henry Fayol or explain in brief 14 principles of management by Henry Fayol. So this was a very important topic which I taught you. If you have any query, please feel free to forward it on my WhatsApp number. Students, now we will go ahead with the second person. Let us know about him. He is Frederick William Taylor, that is F.W. Taylor known as. He also talked about management theory. His management theory is known as Taylor's scientific management theory. Now who was this F.W. Taylor? Let us see. This F.W. Taylor was an American who started his career as a machinist. He was a machinist in Midwell Steelworks, situated in Philadelphia, America. And gradually, through his hard work, through his development, he became mechanical engineer. So he introduced his observations and experiments based on scientific data. He analyzed, he collected data, and whatever the observations he found, he presented it. Due to his scientific approach, to be underlined into inverted comma I am telling you, due to his scientific approach towards the management, he is called as the father of scientific management. Now this is very important statement. It might come in MCQs for 1 mark, like who was one sentence answer also it may come, like who was the father of scientific management, or dash is called as father of scientific management, or F.W. Taylor is dash dash of management. So this kind of questions may come. So this is F.W. Taylor's and his scientific management theory we are going to learn ahead. This F.W. Taylor's theory is based on, the management theory is based on scientific experiments. This theory involves the application of scientific approach to decision making and solving the problems, whatever at the time it arising. Same time it is going to go ahead with the scientific approach for each decision making and solving the problems. According to Taylor, the problem should be solved by experiments and scientific techniques only. He has defined the scientific management consists of knowing what you want men to do exactly. Means what the management exactly wants to do or get the work done from their employees, and seeing it that they do, the employees they do that work in the best and the cheapest manner. So this is the definition of Frederick Taylor of scientific management, that the scientific management consists of knowing what the management wants their employees to do exactly and looking forward that they are doing it in the best and the cheapest manner. This is also one of the important definition. You should be knowing it. It might come in the terms or concepts for 1 or 2 marks. So please remember it. Let us see one by one Taylor's principles of scientific management. The very first one is science, not rule of thumb. In order to increase the organizational efficiency, the rule of thumb method should be substituted with the methods developed through scientific analysis of work. As I told you, like getting the data, doing analysis on it. So the methods should be developed through scientific analysis of the work. Rule of thumb, decisions are based on mostly on the personal judgments of that particular manager. Okay. But Taylor insisted upon the scientific method, the scientific approach for every small work. We will come to know like which small works, which steps to be followed, how the time is measured for each and every step of the work for doing a job the employees are doing. That is being done through scientific approach. So Taylor insisted upon the scientific method for doing any small work. This principle is concerned with selecting the best way of performing a job after scientific analysis of that particular job. For this, the manager should consider to calculate the standard required time for each job. Now let me tell you, in one of the MNCs I worked long ago. So over there we used to get, I was a worker, I was an employee. It was an electronics company. I can tell you the name also. I was working with Siemens. We were all doing the panel work and the automation for railways, Indian Railways. So there we used to get job card. That job card used to consist like what kind of steps you are going to do for a particular job, how much time in millisecond, microsecond multiplied by those many jobs we had to do. It was being mentioned on that job card. So the manager should consider to calculate the standard required time for each job to determine the standard output an employee perform in a day. So within a shift or within an hour, average employee, how much output he can give, that must be determined. So that standard output of an employee in a day should be calculated. The manager should also consider to find out the best way to do a particular job in a easiest way, in a comfortable way, and in a proper way that it will give you the maximum output. The manager should consider that way. So that is called as the best way to do a particular job. He should also consider systematic way, such as, I think I am talking about this data collection, analysis of data, which Mr. Taylor insisted on. So manager should go ahead with systematic way to get the data collected, analyze it, and then drawing the conclusions out of that whatever data you have collected. According to Taylor, even a small production activity like loading iron sheets into box cars can be scientifically planned. I mean, how you will carry that sheet, how you will pack it, how you will place it in the car or truck. Each and every small step should be, that activity should be calculated, and it can be calculated and done in a very nice, particular, best way. The next principle of scientific management by Taylor is harmony and not discord. Harmony means accord, or you may say unity. So there should be harmony and not the discord. According to this principle, there should be harmony or accord or unity between the employees and the management. This coordination will help in minimizing the conflicts between them. The perfect understanding between employees and management will be helpful in creating healthy work environment for achieving the desired goal or object of that particular organization, and definitely it is success. The organization should think about maximum prosperity of employees also. Means what? The progress of employees also to be considered by the organization. So this was the principle of scientific management. Second, that is harmony and not discord. The third principle of Taylor, it talks about mental revolution. Taylor introduced this concept of mental revolution, which focuses on, this principle focuses on the change in the attitude of the employees and management towards each other. Employees should be thinking about management as the support, the big support in doing his job or performing his job or improving, developing his career. And the management also should see the employees, or the attitude of the management is to look towards the employees like these are the people due to whom they are achieving their target or they are achieving their ultimate goal. Because at the bottom level, these are the people who are actually doing the work, who are actually producing the goods. Both should realize their equal importance in organization. They should not think, they should not have ego. Employees should not think that if I am not there, if I would not be there, we will not be there, the company will not run, the organizations will not go ahead. The management also should not think like if this group of employees I take out and I recruit some new employees, so still my organization will work. That kind of attitude should not exist. They should see each other as like both are important. They should give full cooperation for achieving the goal of organization. They should follow the order, they should follow the discipline, they should be cordial with each other. This will definitely increase the productivity and the profits of the organization. The next one is fourth principles of scientific management by Taylor, cooperation and not the individualism. This principle emphasizes on mutual cooperation between the workforce. See, we are continuously seeing that there should be harmony, there should be mutual understanding between the employees and management. So this is again talking about the same, like the mutual cooperation between workforce should be there. There should be cooperation from employees side to the management, whatever the management suggests, and there should be cooperation from the management side also towards the employees. Due to the cooperation, the trust, team spirit, etc., the internal competition will turn into the healthy working environment. So the cooperation should be there between these two. Management should always consider the suggestions given by employees in decision making process. We have seen this in the initiative, principle of initiative we have seen by the Henry Fayol. So this is talking about the same. Due to the cooperation, the trust, team spirit, etc., and the internal competition will turn into the healthy working environment, and definitely there will be the progress and achieving of the objective of that particular organization. Management should always consider the suggestions. So it is very, very important wherever the employees are working on the middle level of management or the bottom level of management, it is of not to be considered. I mean, this should not be considered, but their suggestion should be considered. The employees should be treated as an integral part of the organization in all the respects. At the same time, the employees should resist themselves from going on strikes. Yeah, this is important. Employees for small things like they want extra holidays, they want extra wages for a particular work, extra work what they have done. They should not always threaten the management that we will go on strike. So making the unnecessary demands from the management also they should stop, and this is definitely going to be a good cooperation between the management and employees. They should treat each other as two pillars of the organization. On these two pillars only the objectives are there and the objectives are going to be achieved by the organization. So this is very important principle given by Taylor, that is cooperation and not individualism. This is the next principle that is the division of responsibility, scientific management principle by Taylor. The proper division of work should always go together with the division of responsibilities between the managers and employees. As per the skills and the expertise, knowledge of the employees and managers, the work should be divided, chopped. The manager should be given the responsibility of planning, whereas, whatever the policies are there, the decisions are to be taken, should be done by the managers, whereas the workers or the employees should be concentrating on executing it. They should be executing the planning, the policies, whatever are being decided by the managers. This principle helps employees to perform their best. Next one is the sixth principle of scientific management, the development of employer and employees for the greater efficiency and maximum prosperity. Prosperity, that is, you can say success, going ahead with the progress. So development of employer and employees for greater efficiency and maximum prosperity. What it includes? Let us see. The best performance of any organization always depends on the skills and capabilities of their employees to a great extent. Thus, providing the training, timely training and development programs to the employees whenever required is very, very essential. Students, let me tell you, like we teachers also do have to undergo certain orientations programs, certain training, like the training is being provided by the ICSE board also. Like you must have heard about like few teachers last year they went for Kolkata for the training of ICSE. So definitely the training and development programs, whatever are provided to the employees, they are going to prove the success to the organization. It ultimately affects the profitability of the organization, because see, in this training new techniques are being taught to the employees, new managerial techniques or the tactics are being taught to the managers. So definitely it is going to affect the working environment of the organization and ultimately profitability of the organization. Each employee should be given proper opportunity to attain the greater efficiency and maximum prosperity. They have right to go ahead, they have right to do the progress. So that opportunity to attain the efficiency and maximum prosperity should be given by the management side. This was the 6th principle of scientific management. I hope you have understood these principles. If you have any query, please raise the question. I will be answering to it. Students, our next topic is techniques of scientific management. See, the techniques of scientific management, it helps a manager to apply the principles of scientific management effectively. Whatever the principles of scientific management given by Taylor, just now I think we have seen. So, to apply it properly, the techniques of scientific management is going to help to the managers. So, what are these techniques? Let us see. Some of the major techniques are being enlisted. Let us see one by one. The very first technique of scientific management, it talks about work study. Before assigning any work to the available workforce, to the personnel who are doing work, proper work study should be done by the management. Like what kind of job they are going to give to the employee, which steps it includes, each and everything aspect should be considered, studied by the management. The work study consists of an organized, systematic and critical assessment. You can say the consideration of the various activities or functions involved in that particular job or work. The work study is based on the techniques such as time study, motion study, method study, fatigue study. We are going to see one by one what is this time study, motion study, etc. So, work study is important technique of the scientific management. This should be followed by the management. In this, the first part is of time study. The time study talks about, it is the technique of observing and recording the time taken by an employee to complete a given task. I told you, like I have worked with Siemens and there used to be the job cards for each and every job to be performed, and then they used to calculate our efficiency. Okay, like what is time mentioned in the job card and how much time actually the employee has taken. So they used to calculate our efficiency. Based on that, they used to give us incentive also. So this time study aspect is very important. It's a technique of scientific management to apply the principles of scientific management. So how much time is taken, that should be observed and recorded. With the help of time study, the precise time required for each element of work is determined. Each and everything, like suppose a person is making or preparing a card which is to be used in computer. So each and every components to be placed on that particular plate, what we call it as motherboard or whatever it may be, the PCB. So for placing each minute part, how much time is taken, that is also to be calculated. Then it is useful to measure the efficiency of an employee. I have already told you, like they used to collect our job cards. They used to calculate like within 30 days how many job cards we have collected. That means the work we have finished. They used to calculate that time, and definitely the one who used to have more efficiency, they would be doing more work in a given 1 month, and then measuring that efficiency of an employee and to control the cost of work. So this is very important aspect, that is time study. See the next aspect, that is method study. There are always various methods of completing a task. Like in mathematics, you see like different steps you can follow and still you can get the result. Okay, by applying different theorems or rules. Okay, you can just go ahead by doing that particular work. Like that, any work what you are doing, there could be different methods existing of completing that work. For best quality and cost effectiveness, I mean in a cheaper way you are doing, identifying the best method of doing that particular job is very, very important. method of doing that work, completion of work is very important. It helps in reducing the wastage of time, the raw material, and in improving the utility of all the resources as per predefined objectives. So whatever the objectives you have defined of your organization, to get it done, definitely this method study is going to help you out by reducing the wastage of time, raw material, and it will be improving the utility of the resources you are having. It is also helpful in determining the methods for handling the raw materials, transportation, inspection, storages, etc. So definitely this method study is going to help you technically. The next is motion study. It talks about the motion, the movement. The study of the required motion means the movement of an employee as well as the machine while completing a particular task. It is also very important, like the least movement you are doing and you are doing the maximum work, that is important. It is helpful in eliminating unnecessary movements and finding the best method of doing a particular job. Motion technique is used to know whether some elements of a job can be eliminated, unnecessary unwanted movements can be taken out, or their sequence can be changed for smooth flow of task. So this is also to be taken care in motion study. Fatigue, that is what we call stress. So fatigue study, it is also very important. Generally the long working hours without sufficient breaks, target pressure, heavy working tools, and poor working conditions, that means the conditions which are not good for work, it results into physical and mental stress. That is what we call it as fatigue. See students, you are learning in a learning stage, still without break, if somebody asks you to do the work for hours, to study for hours, they give you the targets, like this is your exam coming within 1 month, so you have to do more than whatever your regular studies. Definitely you are going to get mental stress, physical stress. So, and the result will be you will not going towards success. So this fatigue study in each case is very, very important. In the case of organizations, it is very, very important. It has an adverse effect on health. This fatigue, it will be having adverse effect on your health and of course in turn the efficiency of the employees. If one of the employee or group of employees, they become sick, they feel sick, they go to the doctors, they go on medical leaves, so it is going to definitely hamper the work also. The study of the fatigue and steps to reduce the level of fatigue is very important to maintain the operational efficiency of the employees. So it is very, very important, told by Taylor, that fatigue study must be done. Employees should be having comfort zone to complete their work. They should be comfortably, smoothly doing their work. With the good health, they will be doing work. So for that, this fatigue study is important. Next point is, that was first point, in that what we have studied, the time study, motion study, then we studied the fatigue study. Okay, this is the second point in techniques of scientific management, standardization of tools and equipments. With the result of experiments conducted at the workplace, see, there is always R&D department in each and every organization. So whatever the results they are getting out of experimenting at their workplace, above the over the job, whatever they are going to go ahead, Taylor advocated the standardization of the tools and equipments. Standardized working environment and methods of the productions are going to help to reduce spoilage. It is going to reduce the wastage of the material also. The cost of the production also will be reduced. So doing the standardization of the environment and methods, very, very important. The fatigue also will be reduced, the workers and among the workers, and it is going to improve the quality of the work. So standardization of the tools and equipment is very, very important, which is going to improve the ultimate quality of your product, whatever you are producing in the organization. Let us turn to the third point, scientific task setting. Taylor emphasized, he stressed on the need for fixing a fair day's work. I mean, fixing a standardized work in particular shift, you can say. The scientific work setting is important to prevent the employees from doing the work much below their capacity. whatever average capacity of an employee, they should be doing the work as per that only. So Taylor has emphasized need for fixing a fair day's work. Like in a particular day, in a particular hour, this quantity can be achieved or these many jobs can be finished, produced. By using this technique, employees will complete the task according to the standards given and management can keep proper control on the optimum utilization of the workforce. That their workforce, that is the manpower, is being utilized to the maximum. This can be achieved by using this scientific task settings. Then the next is scientific selection and training. Management can select right persons for the right jobs by using scientific selection procedures. They should choose a particular person, like suppose there is a need of a computer expert, so that person should be having a particular degree or qualification or skills in the computers and he should be chosen for that particular job. If it's an architect to be chosen, if it's a construction company, so definitely they should have the particular procedure to choose that particular person who knows about the architectures and engineering, everything whatever needed by the building line. It needs to fix the job specifications as per the requirement. So the job specifications should be fixed. Employees are selected according to the predetermined standards in an impartial way. This is also important, like there should not be biasness. After the selection, management should provide the proper training programs to increase their efficiency. So once they are recruited, selected, the management should take care of providing them proper training, proper guidelines. This is the next technique of scientific management, fifth one, that is functional organization. In this concept, the Taylor planning is separated from the implementation. That means what? Planning, first of all, you are just writing it in black and white, like what you are going to execute. You are making policy, you are coming to the decision, okay? And then implementation. Implementation is actual execution of that planned things or the planned policies, whatever you have done. So that execution should be there. Implementation of those policies, rules, whatever are there, should be there. What it means, planning is done by different people and actual work is supervised by different people. So the managers who are involved in planning are different and the people who are, the employees who are doing the work, to observe them, to supervise them, the managers are different. So it talks about like the worker will be supervised by different supervisors, different people. He also recommended, Mr. Taylor recommended total 8 foremen. Please see that underlined words, that is total 8 foremen to control the various aspects of production. The 8 foremen he has categorized also. We are going to see it one by one. This question may come in MCQs that Taylor has recommended total dash foremen to control various aspects of production. It may also come in match the pairs for 1 mark. So please remember this, that is he has recommended total 8 foremen to look after different aspects of production. Now what are the these categorized foremen? 8 foremen we will see. Root clerk he talks about, that is who tells how work moves from one machine to other. That movement, we have seen the motion study, so there should be one person looking after the movement of that particular work from one place to another place. Instruction clerk who will be recording, who records the instructions to complete the work. The time and cost clerk who will be determining time in which the work should be completed and work out cost. I mean what cost will be involved in that particular work or the activity. Discipline ensures that that person will be ensuring that the workers are working as per the factory rules. So these were the 4 people suggested by Taylor at planning level. See, he talked about 2 levels, planning and implementation. At the implementation level, again he talked about 4 people, like gang boss actually gets the work done. The person who gets the work done from the people, that is called as gang boss. One example I can give you, if you would have traveled by trains, you might have come across, like some work is going on the tracks. There are a group of people working on it, and there would be 2 or 3 bosses standing over there. They're getting the work done. So that is called as gang boss. Speed boss, who would be ensuring that the work is completed in specified time. So that is the speed boss, which is being suggested by Taylor. One more boss, that is repair boss, who handles the security and maintenance of the mechanism, the machines. Preventive measures are taken that the machines will be working properly. So that is called as repair boss. And one more he has suggested, that is inspector, who ensures that the work is done as per the specified standards. Like the inspector will be checking, keeping an eye on the quality of the product you are producing. The last one, the last technique of scientific management is differential piece rate wage plan. What is this differential piece wage system? Let us see. Actually, it talks about like more salary should be given to the employees who are completing the work more than the standard quality, and less amount of wages should be given to those employees who are doing the work lower to the actual decided standard quantity per day. Okay, we have seen the fair work day, that is the fair job day. In a day, how much standard work to be completed by a particular person. Let us see what it talks about, this differential piece rate wage plan. Remuneration should be fixed in such a way that average worker is motivated to attain a standard output. Taylor suggested the differential piece wage system. That is what just now I told you. Like higher rates are offered. See, I have underlined those words which are important, to the employees who complete the work more than the standard quantity. So that means, as I told you, I again go to the work which I worked with Siemens. Like there used to be job card and they used to calculate the efficiency. Like more incentive used to be given to those people whose efficiency used to be more. That means they would be completing more work than the standard quantity decided by that company. On the other hand, if an employee is performing below the standard, he shall be given lower rate of wages. So this is what, see, the question may come, what is the differential piece wage system suggested by Taylor? So you should explain this second point, that is higher rates are offered to the employees who complete the work more than the standard quantity, and the employees is performing, if they are performing below the standard, whatever quantity is decided by the management, that employee should be given lower rate of wages. This is differential piece wage system. This technique motivates the employees to attain the higher standard performance and earn higher wages. So definitely, if your efficiency is coming greater, that means you are doing the work more than the standard quantity decided. Obviously, you are going to get higher pays. So tell me, who will not will to do that work extra or keeping the quality to attain the extra work in given time? Definitely it is going to help you with the incentives or extra payment. That is what the remuneration at higher rate. This is the last technique we have studied of the techniques of scientific management, that is the differential piece rate wage plan. Students, thus we have come to an end of the very first chapter of your HSC 12th standard OC, that was the principles of management. I hope you have understood. I hope you have gone through the previous video also thoroughly. If not, still you can go through it because it will be available on the YouTube. This video also, I wish you go very slowly, minute by minute, complete the whole video, go through the whole video, try to understand each and every aspect which I just explained. Okay, I think in previous video till 9th point of the principles of management by Fayol we have seen, and after that in this video we have seen the remaining 10 to 14 principles of management by the Fayol, and then definitely we have seen the another management theory by Taylor, that is the principles of scientific management. I have explained you just now in this video, as well as to support these principles there are certain techniques of scientific management told by Taylor only. those also we have just now seen. There are total 6 techniques we have seen in detail. So I hope you have understood this lesson very well. If not, if you have any queries and questions, please feel free to call me or put a message. Definitely I will be attending it. Thank you so very much for listening me patiently. Thank you.